What is that one fact you know that always makes people respond? And why the duck do you know that? This will get buried, but don't ever bury a dead body in an area without any vegetation. The high nitrogen content in our bodies helps plant to grow, and there will be a weird grassy patch at the top of burial site and anyone would be able to spot it. If you're allergic to chocolate, you're usually allergic to cockroaches. Most victims in survivable plane crashes died of jet fuel burning and choking them. Smoke hoods could save hundreds of lives if installed on airplanes, likely many more than flotation devices, since stitching is incredibly rare. Bonus: backwards facing seats would make a plane crash much easier to survive thanks to the G-forces pressing you against the seat instead. At a single time, the sloth's body mass can be comprised of 1/3 feces. It takes several hours for the sloth to excrete its bowels completely. Back in the day, poor families would collect their urine so they could sell it to tanners, hence, piss poor. If you were poorer than that, well, you didn't even have a pot to piss in. A bear fought in the Polish army in WWII. The cub was discovered by Polish prisoners in the mountains of Iran. They taught him how to puff and swallow cigarettes. Even taught him learned how to turn on communal showers, pick up recruits, and carried empty ammunition crates on the front lines. When you drop a human uterus on the floor, it will bounce. A hippo's sweat is red. That you cannot burn toddlers alive in The Sims 4. Even if you make a building full of fire and put 7 toddlers in the burning building for hours. Spinal fluid tastes like a mixture of bananas and a 9-volt battery, and I don't want to talk about it. If you feed a human body to pigs, they will eat just about all of it except the teeth. Several murderers in rural areas have used this fact to their advantage. Polar bear liver has lethal concentrations of vitamin A. That you can disembowel yourself if you lift weights that are too heavy. Happened to my high school gym teacher. Said he's never felt anything quite like cheating out your intestines. At some point in the future, you're gonna try to squat 300 pounds at the gym, and it's too much, and you're gonna blow out your sphincter bro in front of all these gym dudes. The paramedics have to cut your pants off, and it looks like you're casing sausage out of your butt. Just don't do it. Apostrophe. Opossums eat ticks, like we eat potato chips. They'll hoover up 5,000 ticks a week and never get Lyme disease themselves. And they don't get rabies, and are North America's only marsupial. Edit: I misspoke in saying that opossums can't get rabies. It is possible for them, but rare, less common than in other mammals. Thank you everyone for sharing sources and correcting my slip up. Science is always helping people learn and improve. Also be sure to thank your local opossum gang for snacking on all of those pests that nobody likes. The stringy things inside bananas are called phloem bundles. They allow the nutrients of the banana to travel the length of the fruit. They are kinda like the vascular system of the plant. Alcoholics decompose faster when they die. Source was a crime scene cleaner. Edit: so I posted this last night while falling asleep, so here is some clarification. When people die they decompose, but people that are alcoholics will decompose faster than normal dead people. Why? I have no idea. It's been so long since I was in that line of work, I just remember enough stories and facts to stay interesting. Love y'all. The fox has many different vocalizations, including a mating call that sounds like the Hollywood representation of a woman being murdered in the middle of the night. Edit: and boom goes my inbox. So do mountain lions yow too. Bex08x5UI were used to live in a canyon with a lion population, and the first time I heard that in the middle of the night I was sure someone was dying. In ancient Babylon, people would build their most valuable possessions, fine wine, among others, into the walls of their basement, which in the region was usually a naturally occurring cave, so when the taxman came he couldn't see it to count it. A human tooth has 36 calories. Ancient Egyptians used to shave off their eyebrows to mourn the death of their cats. Gorillas have the smallest neck to body ratio, further proof I share a common ancestor with them. Bears eat a ton of grass and twigs and stuff before they hibernate to constipate themselves and pretty much prevent waking up midwinter to sheet. However, when they finally do wake up in the spring, their first sheet is a mean one. Pythagoras from the Pythagorean theorem ran a cult, and another group came to come and murder him by locking him inside his house and setting it on fire. But instead he had his followers make a human ladder to escape the fire, but then abandoned them, and they all died. He was murdered later that night, being chased by the group in a bean field. A Russian woman had a shit ton of triplets, twins, and quadruplets, with the same man totaling up to 69 children. The heart, if perfused through the aorta with an appropriate solution, will beat for hours outside of the body. Erich Hartmann, the top fighter ace of history, yoinked Hitler's hat. He was being given an award by Hitler himself, and had gotten absolutely hammered just a few hours before. As in, he practically couldn't walk. So he's waiting to meet Hitler and be awarded a high honor. He's completely drunk and realizes he doesn't have his hat. So he reaches for the closest one, and it's a bit big. Hitler's Luftwaffe adjutant is just ducking appalled, but everyone else is laughing. The big guy with one ball isn't here yet, and Erich says that it was too big. Then he jokes about Hitler having a big head. He was actually drunk the third and final time he met Hitler too, and according to him, Hitler admitted to him that they had lost the war. So yeah, one time the best fighter pilot in history stole Hitler's hat because he was drunk. Lemons are a cross between a citron and a bitter orange. Either they were a rare naturally occurring hybrid or they were man-made, in which case, life does not give you lemons. It does sometimes give you lemons, but very rarely. Thus, life-given lemons are rare, and one must use the few lemons life gives them to make more lemons for themselves in the future, instead of relying on chance or blaming life for underproducing. Birds need gravity to swallow, so a bird in space would die very soon. Edit. I understand there's no oxygen in space, but by that logic humans couldn't survive in space either. I meant if they had spacesuits like humans do. A nursing sperm whale's milk comes out in the consistency of cottage cheese, so the calf can eat it in the water. If you're a woman revolted by the smell of your guy's gym bag, but find yourself sometimes aroused by it, that's when you're ovulating. You can rearrange the letters in Clint Eastwood to Old West action. No leftovers. A 2008 Prius can float, at least for short distances. Car was not damaged in any way. That Denmark had an ad called, "Do it for Denmark to try and increase their population." If you want to burn down a building, put potato chips in a toaster with a trail leading from the toaster to other highly flammable things. The potato chips leave no residue and the toaster will pop back up after the chips catch fire, so there's no way to find the start of the fire. Rat poison is actually an anticoagulant mixed with stuff like fiberglass. Because rats are always scraping and squeezing into stuff, they build up these minor injuries. The anticoagulant stops their blood from clotting properly, and they internally hemorrhage to death. Since a human being is a lot bigger than a rat, rat poison is much less effective on us. It's so much less effective, they have turned it into an anticoagulant that just so happens to be one of the most popular medications, commonly prescribed as Coumadin, Gentoven and warfarin. The fact that mushrooms are more genetically related to humans than they are to trees. Owls have tube-shaped eyes, rather than spherical ones. This makes it difficult to move the eyes in their sockets, but is counteracted by the ability to rotate their heads 270 degrees in either direction. The male fossa has a thorny penis which not only hurts females during mating, but makes it nearly impossible to escape, while doing so even if it's forced. This is true of cats as well. Edit. Helps ensure the male's genes are passed on. The female can't just run off as they are at a shed for limes. Especially domestic /Zazero cats are well known for having /Zazero penile spines. Upon withdrawal of a /Zazero cat's penis, the spines /Zazero rake the walls of the female's vagina, which may serve as a trigger for ovulation. Edit. Source Wikipedia. Bones can be some of the most effective and terrifying shrapnel, second only to liquid copper. Bones splinter when you put them in bombs, and can do horrific amounts of damage to soft tissues. Liquid copper, on the other hand, which is not that difficult to get in an explosion, can get through almost any armor like it's nothing. Learned that from a friend who did a tour in Iraq as an infantryman. On the 762nd digit of pi there are 6 nines in a row. The machineal tree is the deadliest plant in human history. Damn. This tree grows in Florida and the Caribbean. According to Atlas Obscura, it's the most toxic tree. The most toxic plant is water hemlock, also found in Florida. Florida is America's Australia. As a Floridian, I say this every day. The list of invasive species that are scary is even noteworthy. I know they aren't actually dangerous, but huntsman spiders are becoming more common. I've seen a handful of massive constrictors that aren't native, as well as a few large monitor lizards. At risk of my credibility, my ex and I have also seen a large black cat, about the size of a panther, but was jet black. To this day it still freaks me out. Edit to stop further replies telling me that panthers are black cats and not an actual cat, as well as saying we do in fact have panthers. I'm aware. I'm referring to the largest cat that can meow, and specifically the Florida variant of the puma. There have been no examples of melanism in this cat. Also, the color was pretty clear as it walked in front of my Jeep that had way too many lights on it. Terminal velocity of an ant is around 3.9 miles per hour. The skin on your lips is the same type of skin as the skin on your asshole. Judith Bussey, the 10-year-old girl that voiced Ducky in the first Land Before Time movie and Anne Mary in All Dogs Go to Heaven, was murdered and set on fire, along with her mother, by her father who then shot himself. That Disney is the biggest importer of explosives in the world. Edit. This commercially they don't beat out the US Department of Defense. The first thing to form on human embryos is the asshole. Chuck E. Cheese's full name is Charles Entertainment Cheese. An adult's collarbone will break with 8 pounds of perpendicular force. A child's breaks at 12 lbs. Not sure why no one else asked. Why is it lower for adults than children? Don't bones get stronger as you age? Until a certain point. Pepsi was once the 6th largest military in the world. When the German army captured Stalin's son, Hitler said that if the Soviets release a German general, then Hitler would give Stalin his son back. Stalin replied, "Why would I trade a general for a lieutenant?" That's right, Stalin was so serious that he wouldn't release a single POW just to get his own son back. You can get prescription methamphetamine in the US. Trade name Desoxin. Used for extreme ADHD or extreme obesity. Cocaine is commonly used on small children in pediatric trauma centers, since cocaine is an anesthetic and a vasoconstrictor. It is applied topically to control pain and bleeding in children that are too young to handle morphine. I got that when I was a kid. Went ass over tea kettle on my bike and landed on my face. The doctor used topical cocaine to numb the wound before he sutured it up. I was tickled pink at the thought that I was getting coke while my dad was right there. I had a similar thing, but with an old metal runner sled when I was 7 or so. Had to get 2 or 3 stitches right under my nose. They also used topical cocaine. What I really remember about it was that it was very localized with 0 pain, but I could feel the skin nearby moving around as it got sutured. That was really weird. That a male human body which weighs approximately 190 pounds will literally melt into a standard Sears Laserboy recliner when left in the heat during the summer, fusing itself onto the fibers. Also, the smell is unforgettable. Also, dying alone and nobody knowing you died really is sad. My brother is an EMT, and he had a call that was a girl's husband died, and she put him on the couch and put a heated blanket on him. The dead husband got fused to the couch and my brother told me that that was the worst call he has ever got. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. I told this once to a random stranger because they brought up how they didn't like shrimp. They immediately hounded me about how I knew this. No, I never ate a tarantula. I read a Reddit comment that said it once then regurgitated it as fact and they challenged me, and I looked like a ducking dweeb. Now I know why. It's cause they're both arthropods. You hear me, random Uber passenger I picked up 2 months ago. Arthropods.